Yeah, good afternoon, dear students. Today we are discussing the information technology. That is the book code number MLIS-05. So that is called as a applications of information technology MLIS-5. The block number 14. So unit number 4 and the unit number 14 and the block number 4. So this is the final topic in the previous class. We have discussed the digital library, digital preservations, and all these things. So digital library networks, how it will be working on each and everything we have discussed in the previous class, and also how it will be working, what is the procedures, each and everything we have discussed. The unit number 13, introduction to the digital libraries. So what is the digital libraries? What is the strategies? In the last class we have discussed it. So today we are discussing the digital library and materials. So in the digital library, what type of that materials we are incorporating in this area, easily to find out how it will be working, what is the purpose, what is the process. So what is the main thing we are focusing on that area. So on that basis, we are discussing this lesson to cover the entirely the digital libraries and digitization of the materials. So what type of the digitization of the materials we are the following. So that is the main thing here. So digitalization mainly to processing to any one of the content, it will be scanning and uploading in the digital binary format. It will be uploaded in the server. So automatically, those who are the users are there, the people will be acceptable to access the information. So the digital library process mainly focusing, first thing is the fundamental of the principles. There are the 10 principles are there in the digital libraries, especially in the digital library processing, how it will be processing, what is the processing of that materials, how it will be processing that materials. The digital library is there. Once we are click that any one of the URL, you will get it that information. That information, how to will be get it, information of the library materials, how to it will be get it. That is the main thing. This is the process, is the length of the process is there in the digital library. All the people can be accessed, but how it will be processed, how it will be helpful. So in the digitalization of the process, mainly it will be consistence of the 10 steps of that process. So the first one is the digitalization project planning. For example, we are taking to one of the digital library project. So what is that project? So mainly the planning is the most important. Without of that planning, we did not to identify the project of that work. First, find what is that planning, the structure of the planning. For example, we will note that. So first one, what type of that materials we are uploading in this area. So easily to find out. So what type of that materials, whether the computer materials or science and technology or civil engineering, mechanical engineering, or any social sciences, geographical videos, JPG format and the text format. So what type of the materials we are the scanning, ancient granthas, or what type of the books you are the scanning, which is the planning of the processing, the digital processing, what is that main processing. To identify the processing planning system is the most important. How to do process in the textbooks is the first one. Second one, what type of the books we have the scanning. That type of that information is the most important. So here, this is the process of the planning is the most important. And the second one is the selection of the material of digitization. So selection of that material, what type of that materials we have the selection, that is the main important. For example, here, we have no any of that idea what type of materials you have the selection, whether the textbook or journals or content of that material, what type of that materials we have the digitized the materials. For example, CD DVDs are uploading of the data where the copying of the information and providing the CD DVDs, the type of that information, or textbooks of that information, or images, image of the graphs of that images, what type of the text materials, selection of that material. For example, in our library, what is that in our library aim? Academic library in our institution, what type of that materials we are providing here. So whether social sciences or science and technology or pure sciences or applied sciences, what type of that material is the required. For example, in our library is only engineering college. So engineering college, in the what type of the branches is there, circuit branches or civil engineering, mechanical engineering. So such type of that content of that information we are uploading in the digitization of that process. So otherwise, for example, in the pure life sciences is there. For example, pharmaceutical engineering. That is the mainly they are the focusing the pharmaceutical and life sciences. So life sciences means pure sciences, it will be reflected by the chemistry, physics, that type of that information, it will be available on that area. So what type of that material, if you in your library, in your users, what type of that information they are the acquiring, they are the asking. So that type of that selection of that material is the main important to processing of the digitization. That is the main thing. And intellectual property, and third one is the intellectual property and copyright act. For example, we have an idea where the copying the one of the scanning the one of that material. Some of the patents is there. The people will be having the 20 years of the 10 years there in the geographical area. The people will be authenticated. They are the developing on that area. So we did not, without of the permission, we did not to take to the patent of that without of that permission. We did not to scanning of that material. That is one of the problem. And also in the Copyright Act, for example, one author is there who wrote the one of the book. It is the published in the market, very familiar. All the people they are the accessing that book. So in his without of the permission of the copyright in the Copyright Act. So without we did not to taken that permission. We are scanning it. It will be uploading immediately. It will be penalized to the Copyright Act by the publishing by the author through the who is the scanned in his materials without of that work in his permission and a copywriting agreement. Without of that agreement, the people will be not eligible to publishing or scanning of any of that material. So such type of that mainly in the selection of the process. So patents and copyright of the tax, that is the most important before the scanning of the process. And also that is the intellectual property rights and the Copyright Act. This is the most important of the phenomena. And the establishment and digitization of that environment. So for example, we are the planning to digitization of our library. So first of all, establishment of the process. So what type of the process of the establishment of the environment? You have the creating one of the two AC computer, AC room, and along with the systems of the configuration and hardware and software and requirement of the technologies and scanners and quick scanners and data servers. This is all are very important. Without of that servers and scanners, the digitalization of that information, how it will be scanning, how can is the possible to uploading? That is the problem. So before on that, we are first of all to find out that what are above the materials, establishment of that digital libraries environment, creation of that environment. That means procuring the computers, procuring the programming softwares, so hardwares and establish that is the server effectively to working on that. That is the digital space is the required. So on that basis, in the hard disk, it will be strengthen the main servers. It will be storing that maximum of the information. The type of the technical information of the process is the main important. And also digitization software. So digitization software is also is the very important. So without of the digitization software, without of the software, we have the scanners, we have the computers, it will be not working. Through the computer operating, through the programming, the digital library is working. So once page to page to all, so how it will be scanning, what type of the program it will be reflected and saving that information. That is one contemporary. And also computer infrastructure, that's next point. So computer infrastructure is the most important in the digital library process. And without of that computers, we did not working on that. So entirely the data it will be stored and retrieving the information through the computer center. So without of that computer center, how can it is the possible to maintaining the digital library? So in this concern, digital libraries, the computing environment is the most important. Computing infrastructure is the very important. So established high configuration of the systems. So immediately it will be reflected that information. So that type of the computing infrastructure is the main important in this area. And also handling of originals. So for example, where the scanning of that one of that information. So what type of that information where the scanning, that main important of that material, first copy, you can scan it. In the Xerox copy, again, you have the copy, it will be reflected to Xerox. In the original document, what type of the document is there, handling the originality of that information, it will be reflected very clarity and visibility and resolution. That is the effectively, it will be displaying in the computer screen and system. So that is the main thing here. And also next point is the digitization process. So what type of that process is the main thing here in the collecting the documents and digitized and preserving the registering of the documents and keep track and traditional and hard, that is the called as a transferring the hard copy, converting the documents, making corrections, so adding the metadata. So this is the book structures, all the books. What is the structures of that format here? The followed metadata structure. So data to data is a metadata. The data it will be structured the format, collecting of the information. So first, what type of the information we are the uploading? We have the planet and automatically step by step we are the uploading and registering the documents. What type of the documents we are the registered, uploaded? That is the clearly to mention on the paper and preparing the documents and also converting the documents from images to text format. For example, some image is there. So image it will be reflected to the text format. So such type of that format it will be processing through the programming only. So the computer, the digital computer programming is very necessary and important to converting to the images to for text format. And the additional metadata. So in the additional metadata structures is the main thing in the metadata structures, what type of the Mark 21st format of the standards, it will be reflected the standard structures step by step onwards. And also it will be OCR. OCR also is one of the main content of that point here. And also preservation and digitization of master materials. So preservation and digitization. Preservation means once we have the scanning that information, it will be stored on one of that place. So that is called as a preservation. So which place where the preserved, for example, where the scanning the some of that materials. So objective type of that materials, we have the scanning where the uploading in the previous question papers is there for BCom students of the question papers, where in the last 5 years, where the copied and uploaded in the year wise of the system. So automatically it will be reflected to the one of the question papers of that one of the folder. Once we can click it to the BCom of the question papers, we can click it. Immediately the question papers it will be reflected. Again, you can click it. Year wise it will be reflected. That is the 2023, 22, 21. So that is the according to archives. So what type of the previous question papers is there? Immediately it will be reflected. That is the main thing. And file formats. So file format means once we have the uploaded question papers in the previous question papers. Once we are clicking on the previous question papers, so automatically in the file format, year wise it will be reflected the step by step. So that type of that process will be continuously to going on in the digital library. And storage in the metadata. So storage of the information, where the scanning, what type of that information we have the scan, that information it will be reflected to saving in the hard disk of that copy entirely, what type of that material you have the scanned in the digital library of that purpose. And also preserving the strategies. In the preservation of the strategies, there are the so many strategies is there. For example, you have the hard disk, directly you have the saving on that. That is the one contemporary. So directly where the saving in the system, that is the D-Drive or E-Drive. That is one contemporary. Directly you have the IBM Samba server is there. Immediately that is the IBM server is there. Immediately where the store, they enter that information directly to the IBM system server. In case meanwhile we have no such type of these things, we have the only in the little college of the library where the saving their data. So which place we have the saving data, CD and DVDs of the format. So once we have the copying the entire information to convert into the CD and DVDs. So the CD and DVDs is also is the gone. Today the USB portals is came. Immediately in the USB drives, in the pen drives, absolutely you have the copy to the year wise of the data, step by step of that format. So that is the preservation of the step by step continuously to going on. And metadata structure. So data about the data is called as a metadata. So what is the structure of the according to the MARC format? In the MARC revised format of the 21, in the cataloging structure is there. And the structure of the basis entirely the digital library of the content of what type of that information we have the scanned. According to the program, it will be designed through the metadata and MARC 21st of that format in the digital library. Easily to find out, it will be reflected to the information. And also online publications. So online publications also we have directly to copying to uploading in our digital library. For example, online publication. For example, you have the procuring on a Harvard Business Review magazine. We are the procuring from the Stanford University from USA. So entirely that copy it will be required in the digital content of that format. The copy is there. Automatically, we are the uploading in your computer. It will be reflected to directly in this process of online publications. So in case we have the subscribed any one of the online publications is there, immediately the online publications, it will be directly useful and effectively helpful to the uh, uh, digital library of the process. And also project management. So project management means planning and organization and directing. So each and everything, the information will be directly to stored and reflected to the as a project management, what type of the schedule we are the planning, how it will be working, how it will be conducting. As a system of project management portfolio basis, entirely the digital library will be working in the process. So the digital libraries, that is the main thing. So here in the unit, it will be covered mainly. So what is that important of that point of here? This is the digital library. How can it will be working? How it will be processed? The first point is the mainly to discuss the digitization of project planning. That is the most important of project planning. Without of the project planning, the digital library is not possible to working on that area. So we have the clear cut of the visionary and visionary mission is there. So we have done this project automatically. It will be done. And second was selection of that materials to be designated, also digitized. Selection of that materials digitization. What type of that materials we have? So on our library, the customers by the users. So what type of that information required according to our institution? On that basis, we have the selection of that material and intellectual property right and copyright act. Intellectual property right means the patents and copyright act. So in case we have the publisher some of that information, first of all, to take that patent of the concerning the publications and the copyright act in case without of the author permission, we did not to publish in his information directly through our websites because that is the copyright violation acts. So we have the taken to the MOU. So memorandum of understanding, sir, we are using this information to our institutional purpose for the students' point of view, in the academic point of view, it will be not a commercial, it will be not a misusing. So on that basis, the people will be preparing one of the documentation, the both of the author and the institutional librarian, you have the sign and take it to the MOU. So that is called as the main copyright and patent of the text. And also that is mainly handling original materials. So handling of that original materials, what type of that important of that information you have, that original information you have the scan it, not only for the Xerox and all these things. You have the good one book is there. The main copy you can copy it. In the Xerox copy, again you can scan it. It will be uploaded in the digitization. It will be comes to the that is the visibility and resolution is not clear. So original documents is there including and uploading, that is the main important. And also establishment of the digital library environment. Digital library environment to creation, that is the most important to entirely the concern in the department of the institution of that library. And also digitization process. So in the digitization process, what type of the steps is going on? Selection of the materials and uploading of the materials. What type of the materials we have the required in this concern in the computer scanners? What type of that information is the required in the technically? You can collecting on that. That is the mainly the digitization of the process, scanners and program, software programs and etc. And finally, preservation of the digital materials. So in the preservation of the digital materials, what type of that materials we have the scan, that entire information we have the stored and copied on the server. So that is the main to preserve, to save the information, whether the CD or DVD or hard disk or anything. So in the USB or any drive, hard drive. So that is the main important. And metadata structures, we can follow the standardization of that format. Once we have the program, it will be computer, that is a digital library programming, it will be designed through the metadata and mark format of the standards. And also online publications. In case we have the online publication in our institution, it will be publishing one of the online journal immediately. we are the uploading in our digital library. Automatically, it will be reflected to the every monthly or quarterly of the journal. It will be directly to publishing in the website. Automatically, the people will be visibility and to read the content of that information. And finally, the project management. So the project management, the top to bottom in the hierarchy level, in the budgetary and each and everything, how it will be working on, what is the process and each and everything in the creating of the digital environment of the library, entirely everything it will be comes to the, under the project management. So this is the management, this is the structure of the working of the digital library of the process. So this is the digital library of the process in the net now, in the softwares. So in the digital library softwares is there. So generally here in the several softwares is there. So digital library softwares, mainly three softwares focused to the world ways. Majority of the people they are the using the databases. For example, in the first one, digital library software. In the second unit is the digital library of software. Digital library software is mainly the Greenstones library. The first in the world is the first digital library to be established by the New Zealand government. New Zealand government only. So in the New Zealand, it will be developed to the first digital library in the world. The Greenstone library. Greenstone is located in the New Zealand. They are providing the free access of the data, digital library of the information to the entirely all worldwide, all the people. So Greenstone library, you can click it in the Google, automatically it will be reflected. So in this area, we have the textbooks, academic books, and novels and fiction, journals, national and international journals, content of the information, each and everything, what type of the in the world is academic of that information, it will be provided to the directly to the Greenstone library. Open access of the journal, sometimes in the commercial of the journals, in the archives of that information, everything it will be reflected to the through the Greenstone library. So this is the one of the software. It will be reflected to the features of the supporting of the Greenstone library. What is the purpose of the Greenstone library? They are the mainly to accessing to availability of the both of the binary and source quota, source data main source code of that information. The entirely that network it will be how it will be working in the digital library, Greenstone library. It will be working through the binary system. In the digital library, once we have the typing of the any of the information, automatically it will be receiving to the binary system. So binary system it will be reflecting and taking to the algorithms and reflected to the information on the screen. So whatever of that information we have the searching. So in this contemporary here, mainly in the both binary and source codes, the what type of the source we have the taken. That source code also it will be reflected in this software of the Greenstone library. And also Greenstone library collection served on the world ways. So this the website will be linked to the world ways all the people. For example, in the Greenstone library I am using here in the New Zealand, in the Canada, any one of the people, they are the click it and get that information to store, to save that information and accessing of that information. So there is no need to pay any of that money. That is the open access of the system. And also supports the variety of that interfaces and the collection of building. So separate interfaces means, for example, in the world ways or India ways, all the people at a time they can access in the interface. So a number of the people can at a time can access, it will be provided. So for example, here in the we are recently TSPSC website is there. Around in that 5,000 of the people we are accessing at a time, it will be hanging of the system, and the server is not supported to uploading the teachers recruitment of that application form in the recently. So this type of that any of the minimum of that server at a time lakhs of the people they are the accessing, immediately it will be hanging and not working in the process. So that is the technical of the support of the server. It will be not to strengthen to providing that information. So here the interface is the most important. Interface at a time, a number of the people can be easily to access in the process. That is the main thing. And Greenstone it will be built to the indexes in the full text of the documentation information. So index is called as a, for example, where the searching the management education system. So once you can click it in the management education system, all the folders it will be reflected to the text format. So once we have the click it on that, immediately in the PDF of that content, each of the year wise it will be reflected to step by step. And also it will works in the full text and folded based indexing. Full text means in the folded based index of that information it is called. In case this is the 2023 year, the journal is there. So in this month of the May, it will be already published. It is okay. If you need the April of the text in the archive, so immediately it will be supported. It will be opened directly in the Greenstone of that library. So that is the main thing. Greenstone support in the different files and formats. For example, HTML, that is the HTML and PDF, doc, RTF, JPG format, or any one of that format we have uploaded, automatically taken. For example, in the PDF format only, it will be accessible. Nothing else in the Word document, or PPT, or HTTP format, or image format, or bit format. So any format you have the submitted, you have the uploaded, automatically it will be taken to the information collectively taken and retrieving that information, providing that information accurately in this system. That is the mainly in the any type of the program, it will be receiving all the sources of the information. So just like as the HTML, all the so what are the test formats is there, it will be receiving, and in case those who are the asking, I'm asking only in the JPEG format, immediately it will be providing the JPEG format only. In case someone else, the people will be asking the information in the PDF format, it will be reflected to the PDF. So such type of the benefits are there, and new plugins and developments in the format of the supporting of the Greenstone. So day to day ending, day to day, today I'm uploading. So no, tomorrow one article it will be wrote the one or two others only. In the next time onwards, that is the top results of the article, the people will be published to the 7 people. So the 7 people of the information, the bibliographical content, it will be provided in the that type of that queries. In case the people will be asking directly to the chat box. So immediately the entire the networking of the system, the Greenstone library will be provided to the brief of that information to the utilization of that purpose of that to all the people. And also Greenstone lets the build the collection of non-external multimedia. So this the library that means the Greenstone library will be collecting the n number of the sources, n number of that information. In case who is asking, I'm asking the one in libraries, the rest of the people will be asking maths, physics, and chemistry. In the different aspect of people, they are asking that type of the purpose, different of the information it will be storing and providing the digital library of that format here. And also UNESCO also it will be supported this data. So easy to access in the world in all the people. So this is the main thing of the area of the contesting of connecting of that information of the Greenstone is very familiar in the worldwide. So first digital library only for the Greenstone library. The Greenstone library is connecting to the data to data. So in the worldwide, what type of the data in a number of URLs or connections is there in the servers, all the servers, it will be integrated in this database and providing to the Greenstone library immediately to open access to all the people. That is the main thing. And also flexibility and the silent features of the content of second one is the content DM. Content DM also is one of the powerful flexible data collection. So this is also one of the content DM. So content DM is called as the one of the two. So first one is the Greenstone library. It will be completed. This is the over. Second one is the content DM. So content DM also this is one of the digital library software. It will be providing to the information functionality. So in the silent features of the content data that is what is the content DM is to be reflected. Content DM features of the digital libraries mainly to focusing. So mainly in the functionality. So it will be working in the very perfect of that functionality. Those who are the information we are asking, automatically it will be providing to the functionality. And also collection sharing. So collection sharing, for example, you have the good collection, immediately to sharing of the all the people. So in our users, those who are asking, the medical department is there. So day to day in the COVID or pandemic is going on. At the time in the content of the information step by step continuously it will be going on. That type of the scenario collection sharing, that is called as information sharing. And also affordability. So this is the affordability means. So this is the affordable to the any one of the institutions or the academic institutions, and also fast and scalable. So fast and scalable the information means quickly it will be provided to the fastest of that information, to those who are asking in the digital library of the content of the parameters. Common standards. So what type of the common standard? So mark format. So data for a data network of the methods. So that is called as a Z.39 standard format, Z39.50. Oh, so that is one of the standard or structure of the format, and also mark format, 21st of the mark format standardizations. So in the library census, what type of the standards is there? So entirely the standards it will be following on that here. And also Dublin core metadata. Dublin core metadata standards of the metadata, it will be supported to the Dublin core metadata. So Dublin core metadata is one of the standard metadata. So this data metadata it will be reflected here. And technical support, this is provided to the technical service also. Technical supporting in this, I am not an IT person. I have the working on that area, so I need some of the good information in this contemporary. So immediately in the technical support also it will be provided to the concerning that area. So this is the second one, and third one is the DSpace. So you know the familiar of the DSpace. So DSpace is also digital library space. So in case in the what is the reasons of DSpace it will be provided to the here in the world ways in the majority of the all the institutions they are the followed. So first of all, the DSpace digital library space it will be developed by the MIT Massachusetts Institute of Technology of the library. It will be developed this software. So this software it will be reflected to the informations of the any one of the institution. For example, I am working on of the library. My institution information it will be reflected to the public domain. So in our college, my 340 faculty members is there. So all the publications we have the good research reports and awards and each and everything it will be there. So my information will be reflected to entirely to all the people. So all the people also can access to the all the information of what is the publications of the data it will be going on. Immediately in the display software is there. So immediately when the uploading that day to day, what type of that awards and programs is the going on, immediately it will be reflected to the standard formats. For example, we are the uploading to the programmings. So in this academic year, in the 2021-22 academic year, how many programs we have conducted? That information will be directly reflected in the database. In case students have done the project reports, or MTech or MBA or MCA or engineering or BTech projects. So immediately major project, how many is there? Minor project is how many is there? The CSC, computer science of the engineering and electronics and communication engineering. Different biomedical engineering of the students, different applications of the different branches of the people, how many projects they are conducted, that type of the information will be reflected to the institutional server. So this is what is the purpose of here? Institutional repository. The DSpace is called as a institutional repository. So that means I have my library. I'm working one of the institution. For example, I am working in the Central University, Hyderabad. I am preparing one of the institutional repository software, that is the database. That means how many faculties is there, where the uploading, how many publications is there, how much of the rank, NIRF rank is there, in the previously what type of the rank is came. So right now, what are the features is there, how many Scopus publications are there, how many Web of Sciences is there, how many citations is there. So this type of the faculty area and students in the BTech level, EC level and PC level, what type of the dance is projects is done, what type of the awards is came. So such type of that entirely institutional development of the activities immediately reflected. It is called as the institutional repository. That means entirely those who are in X, for example, one X institute it will be provided to the connectivity to the free access to all the people in the world ways. I am sitting on that Stanford University. I am just watching to the what type of that institutional repository is going on immediately to find out. So in this purpose, the DSpace it is called as a nothing but a DSpace. It is called as a institutional repository. In the world wise, in the top all the academic institutions, they are the following the institutional repositories. That is the mainly and learning objective repositories responsibilities here. What is that main institutional repository? The main functioning is called learning objective repository. So learning, what type of that information we have done, what is the purpose we are doing. So learning of the objective responsibility of that information. For example, someone student there that done the project. We came here, we are uploading in our institution. The name of our institution is the fake. So that is the realistic of that originality of that information retrieving through this portal, through the software. And also e-thesis. For example, in our students submitted, in our faculty submitted the PhD dissertations in the JNT University or Usman University, Ambedkar University, any one of the university, they are submitting in the research project. Immediately it will be soft copy, it will be uploaded in our institutional repository. For example, in this academic year in the MLISC students, so many students is there. They are conducting the major project or project work of the dissertation, they are submitted. Entirely the dissertations are uploading into our institutional repository. In 2023, MLISC dissertations, you can click it. In this batch, how many students are there, how many projects, it will be uploaded, it will be reflected through the institution repository. Why that? Entirely any one of the people anytime can access and see the how many dissertations or how many publications. This means the research papers are MPhil dissertations or PhD dissertation, the doctorate of the awarding of the results. It will be reflected through the thesis. And electronic records management. So electronic records, ERM called like electronic record management. For example, you have the e-content of that information is there. DST projects reports is there. So such type of that project will be reflected through the electronic gateway to uploading the information and uploading in the server of the institutional repository. To automatically, to all the people can visit in our institutional repository. It will be open domain. It will be absolutely accessed. In case in the closed domain, it will be working only for your institutional faculty purpose only. It will be working through your institution only. So the credentials which will be open domain or public domain or otherwise your LAN connectivity only in the local area of the networking. In your campus people only it will be accessed. So preventives and privilegizations for you only for now. That is justification. So this is the globalization of this thing of the ERM and also digital preservation. So entirely this content of that information in the D space, the entirely thesis and dissertations or any content of the information, it will be stored in the digital and binary of that format in the computers. So in the hard disk or CD or DVD or USB cable or server, any one of these things, the entirely whatever of that information, your institution of that information, your university of that information, directly to saving the process of the preservation. That is the mainly. And publishing. So how many publications is there? So how many publications is came? So everything it will be reflected through the institutional repository. In our faculty, in our university is there, Usmania. How many publications is there gone in this academic year? So that information it will be reflected through the institutional repository. For example, you are working in one of the private college. So your institution information will be reflected through this one and also and more. So on different aspects of the different applications, different informations, it will be directly to provide into the D space. So it will be reflected to the articles of the, so whatever of the subconsists of sub-themes, it will be reflected here in the articles and the preparation and technical reports. So whatever the mini DST projects of the reports, that is also, and workshop papers in case whatever of the materials we have the uploading in this server, mainly articles and preparations and also technical papers, and they have those who are the national and international conferences in our faculty published the articles, that information you have uploaded, it will the possibilities is there. And working papers, for example, you are working, the teaching notes is there, that is working notes also, it will be reflected here. And the conference papers where the attended any of the national or international conferences you have submitted and published that article, it will directly to come there here where the uploading in our server automatically it will be reflected. That is also called as one of the conference papers. And the e-thesis, we have already discussed e-thesis. So any of the MPhil or PhD or dissertations, electronic thesis copy, it will be uploaded in our portal. How many faculty, how many students, they are the published, the submitted the thesis, electronic thesis, what type of the titles are submitted, the subject wise and the branch wise, each and everything, it will be reflected directly. For example, in the Usman University, the physics, chemistry, botany, zoology, sociology, anthropology, history, chemistry, economics, and commerce, MBA, and every people will be submitted the thesis. So each of the department that it will be reflected to the branch wise and systematically it will be reflected. That is the main thing. And also data sets and statistical, geographical, geospatial MATLABs. So this is also MATLAB the information, geospatial and data sets. So each of the section we are the uploading in our server easily to find out to accessible to the all the people, and images visibility and scientific way, that is also it will be supported this the software. And also audio files, for example I am just speaking to you, in case of my lessons is the I am delivering the lecture here, so this lecture is the copying, it will be uploading the YouTube or your institution Ambedkar Open University in the web portal. So anytime any one of the people can be watching the what is the digital library, what is the process the going on. So the delivery of that lecture it will be reflected to the video to access to the rest of the people. So that is the video files, audio files, and video files also it will be uploaded on YouTube. So that is also learning subjects. So whatever the subjects we have the learning, so that type of the entirely information will be directly to reflected and reform the digital library collection. So what type of that new trends and technologies are going on, each and everything it will be directed to uploading in this portal. That is the mainly. So this is also one of the digital library software. So ePrint is the gone. It will be it is sorry. DSpace is the completed, and also Greenstone is also completed. Connected team also is the one of the software it will be completed. In the final of the ePrint, that is also one of the open source of the digital library software. So this is the ePrint is called as a airpin.org of the software. The people will be developed by the GNU Inscript in the archives has been developed by the Electronics and Computer Science Department of the University of the Southampton. So the ESA people it will be developed this the software of the ePrints. ePrints is also it will be helpful to the entirely the digital library software. This is one of the software. This software it will be reflected to the supporting all the ePrints. It will be open access of that information. So it will whatever the main objective is the ePrint it will be providing called as electronic e-printing. It will be providing only ePrints and OI. What is the open access of that information? It will be the digital library will be supported to the ePrints and open access of that information. Open access means many people can be easy to access our information without of that paying of that any of that money. So absolutely you can access the free of that information to access. No need to pay any of that money. Without of that paying of that money, it will be called as a open access. So that means it will open source. Anyone can downloadable, accessible, and readable. So that is called as open access. And also ePrints GNU. GNU comprehensive means in the ePrint software it only free of anyone, any user. The software will be reflected to provide to all the people ePrints. It will be free of that cost to all the people. And open archive software. So here in the digital ePrint of the software, open archives is there. For example, this is the 2023 academic year. For example, Harvard Business Review, it will be published the 1927 onwards. So if you need the 1970 of the year of the publication, directly in the click it and then go there in the archives in the 1970 and click it. That information it will be directly to reflected to downloadable to accessible here. That is the main thing. And also popular digital library softwares here. So this is the main source of the software, and also some of the several softwares is there. That is the popular digital library softwares. Mainly this is the focusing, and the active paper archives. This is the Olive software developing Inmagic software. So and one more is there. That is called as Encompass, one of the digital library software, inside software of the system. Some of the softwares is called as a commercial. You will pay it and get it that so access metadata and Mr. SID. So this is also one of the examples of the digital library softwares. So mainly the digital library softwares is the Greenstone library and majorly e-print of the software. So this is the connect DM. These softwares are very, very helpful and useful in the world ways today. So this is the digital library softwares. So okay, this is the unit is completed right now. And also we'll discuss, time is there. So we'll discuss to the next lesson of metadata definition and types of users and applications of models. So metadata is the standard format of the data. So this is the metadata, different types and functions are there here. So that is called as a mark format or HTML format, meta-type format, Dublin core metadata. This is all the standard structure of the format of the metadata. Difference in the metadata is the means here to structured and behavior of the recording of the controlled and published across the organization. So that is called as a definition. What is that meaning here? Definition deals with the purpose and the metadata does not specify to the applications of the each electronic resources. Here mainly the main which is the structure and behavior of the data records controlled. So what type of that information you have, whether the textbook format or image format or standard collection of that format, we are the uploading directly one of the structure of the format. For example, we are the writing the cataloging. Cataloging, what type of the standard form followed? AACR2 revised cataloging format. So that is the standard structure. So mark format, that is the called as a cataloging. What type of the cataloging card? So opaque in the what is the structure of that mark 21st of that format. So here also the standard Dublin core metadata or any one of that material, you can clearly to standardize the structure of that structure base of that information we are the providing. That is the designing of that pattern. It will be reflected to the metadata. So here the types of the metadata appropriate in the different types of the documents. For example, the books may be used to the metadata, life of the author. So metadata, for example, what is that metadata? So books information is there. So that is called as one of the metadata. What is the books information? For example, fundamentals of the physics. By who is that author? Einstein is the author, fundamental of the physics. So fundamentals of the physics, author of that information, it will be reflected directly through the publisher of that information. That is called as a metadata. That is the basic principle. So what is that? Metadata is the authority. What is the date and time and publishing place and publication, number of the pages and image and language. So book description, what type of that book description will be reflected? Metadata is called book reflection. For example, fundamentals of the physics, it will be published by the Einstein. So who wrote that book for fundamentals of the physics by Einstein? So which year? In the 2023 or 1940, 1950. He is the published. How many pages? Whether the hard copy or paperback copy, hard copy. So who is the author of who is the publisher of the book? Who is the publisher? The company name, the vendor name. How many pages is there? How many centimeters is there? So how many pages, centimeters? So everything of the book, entirely book information, in the front page to up to end page, the entire information it will be reflected. That is called as a metadata structure. So that is the structure of that. What is the title? What is the author? What is the edition? What is the year of the publication? What is the revised year of the publication? Who is the publisher of the company? Who that type of the how many pages? How many centimeters? Source of that information? How did it be procuring the book? Entirely the information to the book it will be used to the all the brief of that indication about the author. That is called as a metadata. That is structure of that information. It will be reflected to the directly here to ours. That is the main thing. And also some intent of the human readers, some of that indicating to using of the computer system process existing data. Example in the mark format records and cataloging web pages and metadata descriptions. Format content were the resources of the human readable. So that is called as any one of that information, the readable of the content of that information, it will be structured of the mark 21st of the format. Mark format, that is the machine access readable catalog. The structure of that catalog method only, it will be reflected that information. That is the main of the definition of that meaning. So metadata types of the functioning. So what type of the types of the functioning here? So what type of metadata is there? So how it will be functioning? What type of that functionalities is there? First, it will be working through the metadata and working to the mark format, HTML hypertext markup language, and also supporting the tags and also supporting the Dublin core metadata. So here the metadata it will be applicable and invertible in the different applications. It will be integrated of the different approaches of that application. So that is the mainly. So it will be accessible. And also other metadata types. So what type of that other data? Embedded metadata. Is the metadata is embedded, it will be content of the data and responsibility typically to metadata and detached from the data. So this is the embedded metadata. So this is also one of the metadata of the embedded data. So embedded data, it will be reflected to the main data of the information. Main data, what is called? Any one of the textbook, any one of the information. So that is called as a metadata. It will be directed to information. And also using of the metadata. So what is the purpose we are using the metadata? Metadata is the become as a improvement of worldwide website, just like as a important of worldwide web. So metadata, for example, worldwide web, for example, in the anywhere in the USA, in the UK, any information is required. So what is the stands for in the directly? To go to the Google directly to www worldwide web, we can click it. So it will be reflected to the important of that information and items of the internet in the world, reflection of the source of that information. For example, you are the watching the United Kingdom. So British Library is required. For example, United Kingdom is there. They are the publishing the British Library in the UK. So how to do www.britishlibrary.com. You can click it, it will be reflected. So usage of that matter different applications through the www World Wide Web only. That is the main thing. And applications of the metadata, what type of the applications are there here? Appropriate of that metadata are and the cataloging mainly items of collection. Cataloging means what type of the cataloging, how to it will be preparing the catalogs in our profession. There are three types of the catalogs where the preparing any one of the book. What type of the standards of the cataloging of the format? Title catalog, author catalog, popular subject catalog. In case no one cannot, no one unknown, any one of the people is came, they are the visible, they are the visit the library and access the books. What are the standards is there? Any one of the book where they're preparing the three entries. So author catalog, title catalog, subject catalog. Author means any one of the people comes to the author name by the Einstein of the physics. So you know that what is that the title is written by the Einstein. The people will be searching for the Einstein. So immediately in Einstein on the name where the searching immediately reflected that information of that entire information. That is first user. And some axis comes to the other physics, no. Oh, no, so the author names is not there. Alphabetically, you are searching the physics, automatically it will reflected to the Einstein book. That is one thing. And third one, the people will becomes directly to the fundamentals of the physics. So one came, the people will becomes to the subject title. Immediately was searching the title wise, automatically reflected. These three categories, these three standard structures, cataloging cards. That is cataloging card, a collection of the information. It will be reflected to the cataloging mode only. The information will be reflected in three areas: author, title, subject. These three areas, the entirely content of the book information reflected through the cataloging only. And third one is the resource discovery. So what type of the resources we have? So until we have the what type of the resources is there, immediately it will be retrieving the information. And electronic that is called as a electronic commerce. So e-commerce, whatever that we are the procuring any of the information, we are the procuring the books, e-commerce of the market. For example, Amazon is there, Flipkart is there. So where the procuring immediately it will be supported to the database. That is the metadata. For example, in the metadata, e-commerce is there. Directly you will go to the Google, you can search it and click it on that any one of the title of the book. It will be reflected the bibliographical information top to bottom. We are searching one of the fundamental of the physics. How many physics books are there? Easily in the top to first page to end page, all the pages will be reflected. That is the main thing is that metadata. That is called as a metadata. To descriptive of that information, the total content of that information, top to bottom, it will be reflected directly once we have the click it on that. That is the mainly. In that next one is intelligent software agencies. So intelligent AI applications is there today. Intelligent software application agencies means in case accurately what type of that information you are searching, immediately that information only it is reflected. Unnecessary of that information it is not reflected through the screen. So that is the main thing. And also the digital signatures. For example, we are sending that on the mail to our officer in our higher authorities. So my name, you have mentioned your name and also your signature. Once you have the scan the signature and uploading and attaching in your mail, once you are sending that any time of that mail, your digital signature it will be continuously go upon to receiving the any one of the send the any of that mail. Automatically your digital signature also it will be going on. So that is called as a digital signature. And also content rating. So this is, for example, one article is there. Content is the good. Rating it will be reflected who's because why? What is that? It will becomes n number of the people in the world is the people will be reading automatically. It will be reflected to the rating. For example, I will tell you one of the song, not song is there. It will be published in the. It will be the song. It will be worldwide is the familiar. So automatically the rating it will be increasing. Automatically what is going sir? The rating impact. So which is the toppest of that song? Worldwide all the people is knows the well known of the song is not in the 2022. So in the 23, 22 year the period, 22 of that year. So immediately that is the main thing here to content rating. So in case you have the any of the good content is there, the content rating it will be reflected to the who's you have the COVID. Bharat Biotech developed the Covaxin. So Covaxin content is there. It is the whose rating. So it will be impacted is the top rating of the information. That is the mainly. And also intellectual property rate. So for example, in IPR. So intellectual property rate, Covaxin is there. So Covaxin who is the invented? Covaxin by Bharat Biotech. So Covax immediately it will be goes to the IP that is called as a intellectual property right. The people will go only in the world ways who is that who is the developer that that is the drug. The people name only the patent of that concerning the people. That intellectual property that is called మేధో సంపత్తి. The intellectual called మేధో సంపత్తి. తెలియగల జ్ఞానము ఆ యొక్క అంశం మీద ఎవరికి అవగాహన ఉంటుంది. Who is that intellectual of that people? They are the get it the qualitative of that information. That people will be called as the IPR. So in the Covaxin, it will be reflected in the name of Bharat Biotech. It will be Suchitra Ella and Krishna Ella. Both are the main authentication of that people. They are the they are the patent of that on that area. That is the intellectual property rights in his names. So that is the mainly that type of that information. Those who are the invented, those who are the created the new innovations, immediately in his names reflected on that area. That is the mainly. And next one is called as a privacy preferences and policies. Privacy and preferences of their policies. What type of the standards is there required? How it will be followed? So how it will be useful? So such type of the strategic principle is the most important here. That is the it will be only for the metadata of the applications of the principles. Okay, clear. And next metadata information and management retrieval. So this is the metadata information management and retrieval. So once we have the clear cutly to metadata, it will be reflected that all the information. It will be standard to retrieve the information. Retrieved means, for example, I am searching one of the book bibliographical information immediately. The title name, author name, source, and then the book description that is called as a bibliography information is called book description. The description means entirely the which year published the second edition or first edition, who is the first author, second who is the invented, and againly they are the copyright we have the taken and immediately those who are the writing on that book. So such type of the information that is called as a book information, it will be retrieving of the information, it will be gives to the metadata. I am searching here immediately in the physics in the new in this academic year in the 1950 Einstein of the book, all the books of that information will be reflected through the screen. That is called a management, information management, and also is called as a retrieving of that information. It will be providing the quality of that information. What type of that database is there we have, immediately it will be provided. So database creations. So metadata creations, what type of the creations is there? A simple metadata records here. So what is the main thing in the metadata? See here, elements and value. So first title. So the title, what is that one case? For example, what is the title? One of the example, any one of the book, one of the title. How it will be reflected? Web catalog. So www. What is that? Going to search in the web catalog. the OPAC only, and also creating the creator Dagniza. So that is called as a author profile. That is called as a MC Alifi. That is called as a author names, and also publisher. So publisher who is the university of the publisher, any one of the Oxford University or McGraw-Hill publisher. So identifier. So how did it be identifier Library of the Congress? It will be identifying the book format. What type of the format? Whether the textbook or format or HTML format. So immediately the format of that material it will be reflected and reaction. So this is the what is that book of the name in the library of website. So the book is the title. What type of the subject is there? That information it will be reflected. So this is the standard structure of the metadata records. That means metadata is called as a data to data. So that is what type of that information you have. Any one of the textbook information is there. That is the main thing. For example, in the metadata record is there. What is in your hands or book is there. That entirely description of the book is called as a metadata. The sample data record is see here the material provided, name, title, author, first the word what is called a title, author, and a publisher. So this is the structures and metadata schemes is there. So what is the metadata scheme? Dublin core metadata. So the metadata one of the best standard database is the Dublin core metadata. Dublin core metadata, it will be reflected what is the formality, it will be basis of the functionality ASCR2, Anglo-American Cataloging Rule number 2, it will be reflected the standard edition of that format supported by GILS government of that information locator service, EID, encoded archives description, IMS. So IMS Global Learning Consortia, AGLS, Australian government of the local servers. So this is the metadata standard schemes. So in the standards of the following, the standards of the methods, any one of the data it will be directly to following the metadata structure. So right now, this is the main thing. It will be completed. The next class, we are the finalizing the Dublin code metadata and structures and finalization of the entirely syllabus. Okay. So after that, this is the next class. It will be completed the mainly overview of that information of the technology. So what is the process of the information technology? It will be reflected through the metadata. Metadata right now, today we are studied. So what type of the lessons we have to discuss today? So it will come with the digitalization processing. So requirement of the processing, what type of the structures and the digital library softwares, what type of the softwares is there? Greenstone, ePrints. So we are discussing the major digital libraries and other softwares also. And finally, metadata structures, what type of the metadata structures is there? And for next class, we will discuss the rest of the Dublin core metadata and structures and schemes of the applications, how it will be working in our LIS community. Okay, thank you. This class is over. The next class, 5 to 6 o'clock, we have the another digital library class. Okay. Any doubts, please?
No, sir.
Okay, madam. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, this is the class is over, madam. Next class, we will finalizing the entirely syllabus and read out on the outlook of that pattern, how it will be working, how it will be wrote the exam and each and everything. We will discuss on the next class. So if you need any of the preparation, have the doubts in the subject of the content area, you can write on the paper and directly come there here. In the before of that, we will discuss and what type of the procedures and examination point of view we will discuss. Huh? Thank you.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.